We are here. This is The Journey with Brandon Thomas featuring Dexter Darden. I'm so excited to finally get this thing cracking. Everybody's in the house, so why not get some premium content with my premium friends? Okay, so this podcast is about giving people their flowers in the middle of their journey. This podcast, So this podcast is representing or acknowledging the highlights of your life up into this point, and picking some of your favorites to discuss. We're going to talk about the past, the present, and the future in our short time together, and just have a good time.
I love that.
Are you ready?
I think so. I don't know, but I'm ready.
All right. So basically, we started off with the 3 greatest moments of your life up until now.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And that is the reaction every time, and I love it.
The 3 greatest moments of my life up until now.
Greatest moments of your life.
Being in Italy with my mom. I took my mom to Italy for her birthday, and my manager got married as well. And we just had a great time out there.
Have you ever, let's expound a little bit. Have you ever taken your mom out of the country before?
That was the first, we've been on cruises together, and went to Jamaica. That was the first time that we were in the same place for two whole weeks, in another country that she'd never really been to or explored that she wanted to. And so that was very special. We got to, Italian food is her favorite, and we got to go everywhere in Italy that you possibly could. We got to see the David. We were in Florence. We were in we went all over Naples, and I had been to Italy prior to that time. But having that moment with my mom was special.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to summarize great moments in your life, right? Because there's moments in your life and there's things that have happened in your life that could be great, but and that are great for you, right. But you may not necessarily look at them. It may have helped catapult you, performing at the Hole in the Wall gang camp when I was 8 years old, and I did Michael Jackson for the first time in that talent show, and Paul Newman saw the tape and was like, "Who's that kid?" And I want to meet him.
Right.
That could have been a great moment in my life.
Yeah.
And it is. I don't know if I would it's one of the most life-changing moments.
Okay, well, no, then that don't count.
Life-changing is different than great, though.
Yeah. But these are your greatest, your favorite. I don't care.
Going to Egypt changed my life.
Ooh, okay. I
went to Egypt with Amy Webb and Kyle Webb. They were getting married. Shout out to them. And I was going down there with my mom to support them in their union, singing and doing the whole thing. And I was there, and just being a part of their celebration with their family and with their people.
Right.
And it was an honor to be considered one of their people. And also took my mom to Egypt with me as well. She was my +1. And
was that after Italy?
This was after Italy. Egypt was last Thanksgiving, this November that just passed.
Oh, that's dope.
And it had changed that trip to Egypt truly changed my life. And I know you hear this thing a lot of the time, you hear people say they travel abroad and it changes your life, and you do this and it changes your life.
Right.
That trip to Egypt drastically changed my life. In a sense of I was coming out of a place where I wasn't I was in a place where I wasn't the most confident in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just learned so much about how small we are as beings and how powerful we are as people, though. With the pyramids, if you see the pyramids in real life, it's nuts. And also while Amy and Kyle got married, they had invited couples that had inspired them in their lives.
Wow.
And I would say that there was over 300 total years of marriage on that cruise ship. Total.
Wow.
So we were there, we were going through the motions. I was talking to people, I was learning stuff about myself, marriage and relationships. I was just coming out of a relationship, and and I was getting educated on certain things. So that trip was like great for me.
Right. Totally.
And the third one,
Did being in Africa have anything to do with that? I know a lot of people are like, I want to touch Africa. I want to touch the
oh,
soil.
I had like that trip all together, touching the pyramids, feeling the energy, being in Africa, like learning the history of time, like being where Jesus walked was massive for me too. Cruising down the Nile River, like all of those things.
He was cruising down the Nile River.
Cruising down the Nile River.
My 6'4".
Playing spades on the cruise ship, like while we're looking at like pyramids that people still live in. It was nuts. It was nuts. It was just nuts, man. Going to Nubia and seeing like people in Egypt that are the same skin tone as you and I, and like them calling me cousins and brothers and all that kind of stuff, like that was for sure one of the moments. And the other great moment of my life was I do premieres back home for every movie that I'm in.
Okay.
Meaning, like, if I'm in a movie that comes out in theaters or on television, I get in contact with the studio. I ask them for licensing to the film, and I do a red carpet premiere in South Jersey or Philadelphia, like close to where I'm like home. Because when you do these movie premieres, you only get about 4 to 5 tickets, you know, and half of those go to my team and the other 2 go to my mom, and you know, and so like I don't get the opportunity to really have the people there who I would like to have there. It was just such a special for me. It was like the one time I truly felt like everything was complete. And it was the last Maze Runner. I was closing that chapter, which I was like the most grateful for, and I was there, man. I had my fellows, like my family, my loved ones, and we really had done a good job with this premiere. We put on a show, and it was really, really nice. That was one of those moments for me.
Wow. That's a very solid 3 events.
There's a couple other ones, but if you ask me your greatest moments and you tell me to answer them on the spot, those are what I got for you. So
yeah, that's fantastic. I know that I feel like we kind of have to touch on this, the Maze Runner series.
Yeah, man.
Being a part of, for me, being a part of like a franchise or being a part of something that is like fan club making, I think is like such a dream. How has that been? How has that been for you, being a part of it and transitioning from it?
It's been quite incredible for me. And it's been an honor to be a part of something that can create this pandemic and a fandemonium of a wave. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I don't think we thought of it as being what it was and what it means to people. Right. But anytime you can create art and be a part of a project that means something to somebody and that they hold on to, you know, you assume that sense of responsibility, and you're just honored and grateful to be a part of something like that.
100%. Now, as you transition out of it, has it been like, you know, leaving a band, or is it just kind of like, it's just what is that like? As I'm trying to think of like, whereas people know you as a thing.
So the thing is, like, the reason I say it's like closing a book, and I know Maze Runner was a book series.
Oh, I see what you did, bars.
But come on now. The reason I say it's like closing a book is because you've read the book, right, and you complete it, and you close the book. It doesn't mean you won't ever pick it up and read it again.
Right.
But all of the things that have happened in that book served its period of time for you while you were reading it. Totally. And so for us, like for Maze Runner, those 6 or 7 years that I was a part of that movie series, like being done with those movies was a little bit of a relief because I had a little bit more freedom when I was going out and auditioning for stuff and like finding new work. And but I could always still open the book because me and my castmates talk every single day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like there's not a time when I'm not hearing from a Kaya or a Dylan or a Kihong or a Chris or a Will or a Joe. You know what I mean? Like right. Or an Alex and or Mel or Rosa, and the list can go on and on and on and on and on. And you know, we hold on to our friendship and our brotherhood and our bond and our family that we built still to this day. So that part of it I can walk away from. knowing that I still have that. But I'm ready to like spread my wings and start finding other like projects and other things that I can be a part of.
You know what I think is really cool is you explaining that, and I think for the world, right? It's like a movie, and it's a movie, and we kind of look at it as a movie. But to see like the connection that you guys have as we may be connected to the project, you guys are connected to each other, which I think is like super dope. And I think that we don't always, as a viewing audience, we don't always think of that connection, which could probably be even a little bit more profound than the success of the movie.
Yeah.
To connect to people like that potentially for a lifetime. So I think that that's
Absolutely.
super dope.
Absolutely. It's like y'all get to experience 2.5 hours of what a 5-month process is to make the movie. You know what I mean? Especially for movies like Maze Runner, where the CGI and the graphics and all that, like in the time of dates that it takes to shoot it, it takes a lot. It's a big chunk of our lives. And so we're now ingrained to be a family and a community. And by the grace of God, like we all are cohesive and we all work together and we can relate to each other and we love each other. So it made it much more easy. And honestly, it contributes to what you guys see on screen. Like it's much more easy to act with somebody who you have chemistry with off of the screen. You know what I mean? You're not doing your job. You're just coming in and making art with your friends.
Okay, so you got a bunch of credits, right? So we transitioned from Maze Runner to the most recent project that is released. Obviously, I'll say by the bell coming, but Burden, which I went and saw and I love very much. And the performances in Burden are off the chain. What is that like to be able to do something that is like a blockbuster smash and then go into like what feels like an indie film and work on a project that has like such a deeper meaning, whereas Maze Runner is super high entertainment value. And, obviously people connect to it, but Burden, you're kind of telling like a real story of what America can be.
Yeah, man. Thank you for going and support it. Burden came out at a very tough time because it came out and then 2 weeks later, the world was shut down due to coronavirus, right? So not as many people got the chance to see it as they wanted to. But the movie itself and the art behind it, man, like thank you so much for appreciating it. And for me, it was like a dream come true. Because I love being a part of the Maze Runner series, and we have very real moments in those movies, but a lot of it is running here so this explosion can happen there, or squatting here so somebody can shoot there, and it's all choreographed, and it's like major movie making that you dream of doing as a kid.
Right.
But like that kind of actors I grew up loving and watching, and the kind of actor I really want to be is I want to continue to make stuff that people can watch it and think and say, you know what I mean?
Totally.
And having a chance to do that in Burden, which takes place in, it's a very, very real movie, man. And it happened in 1996. KKK built a museum in South Carolina honoring themselves and their heritage. And come to us if you got problems with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so having the opportunity to be able to act alongside such geniuses like Garrett Hedlund and Forrest Whitaker and Andrea Riseborough, Christopher Fox, working with Usher Raymond, you know what I'm saying? And the list, Tom Wilkinson, the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Right.
So being able to be in a position where I can audition for an indie project, I can dive into that role, and then I can get offered it, it was like reassuring to me that I'm actually talented and that I can actually do this for a very, very, very long time.
Wow.
And, because we're in the industry of constant rejection. You can be up for that. Like you can be close for this. You can be close for that. And it never really goes always the way you like it to.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But now having the opportunity and being blessed enough to be in a project like that, which is a smaller indie film that went to Sundance and did its thing, was just an amazing lesson and an honor, to be honest.
Okay, so I got 2 questions from that. The first question is, when you're working with Forrest Whitaker, who's your dad in this movie, do you feel pressure? Like what is that like to be able to work with one of, who we consider to be one of the greats?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And I also don't want to pin that to Forrest Whitaker because everybody's performance in the movie is fantastic, real, believable, everything that you would want from a performance. But as we look at the most notable, I'm going to say Forrest Whitaker, just
yeah,
for the sake of the cast, because everybody deserves a hat.
everybody deserves their flowers during this time in their life.
1,000%.
Working with, when you work with Forrest, like, of course you wanna step up to the plate and be that guy, right? Like, and I look at the Burden cast more like the Miami Heat circa 2011, 2012 team
Right.
instead of like LeBron's Cavs teams. Like working with Forrest was the LeBron James, but we had Garrett Hedlund, which was like a Dwayne Wade, and Andrea Riseborough, which was like our Chris Bosh. And, all you hope is like you can be your Mario Chalmers and make the shot when you need him to make the shot.
Wow, I love that. I absolutely love that.
I mean, for all the basketball fans, you get what I'm saying. Like, you just hope that you can be the J.R. Smith to Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving and make the shot when LeBron passes it to you. And so for me, it's like a little bit of yes, there's pressure because you're doing the thing with the GOATs and you're like looking left and right and you're being challenged every single day.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to reassure yourself, okay, well, I got the tools because I auditioned for this role and I had callbacks and I booked it and I have the tools to be able to step up to the plate and provide what they need me to provide. So let me go ahead and do my job and I'll let them work out the rest.
Right.
So that's kind of how it was. And also working with a guy like Forrest, man, he makes everything so much more easy. He like gets to you, he'll talk to you, he'll break it down. He's not afraid to talk scenes. He's not afraid to like get into the nitty gritty and really talk about what you need to talk about to do your best job.
Right.
I love that.
That's fantastic. One thing
I'll tell you one story real quick before we move on. It was the scene when Forrest and I are yelling in front of the house, and when Garrett first comes home, he first brings home a member of the KKK.
Right.
And it was like the end of the day. We had like pushed the 14th hour, and production's like, yo, we can't work everybody anymore. We're gonna lose crew. Like I think at one point in time, our director Andrew even ended up camera operating alongside of Connor, our co-DP, and like shooting because we had to wrap so many other cameras, and they wanted to run 2 cameras on Forrest and I and get coverage.
Right.
And so when that happens, right, if it's the 14th hour, it's the equivalent to there being 10 seconds left on the shot clock, and you got to get the shot. You got to get these points up on the board. 100%. It's equivalent to there being 3 minutes left at your job, and you have one more paper to turn in before you can go home.
Right.
So, except for you need to be emotionally vulnerable and available and remember all of these lines. So I'm like yelling at Forrest Whitaker, cussing him out about bringing this guy from the KKK home to our house. And I only had 3 takes to do it because it was like the final hour. And I remember being in my head a little bit in the trailer. And like going through hair and makeup, I'm getting all my stuff washed off. I'm fixing my hair. And Forrest kind of leans over and he goes, "Hey man, you okay?" I'm just like, I just smile. I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. So I get in the car and I'm driving home from set. I got a call from an 818 number, and I'm thinking it's my managers asking how my day went because they knew it was a big scene. And I pick up the phone, and I hear hello, and I'm like, hello, and he's like, "Hey, this is Dexter, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, Dexter, this is Forrest, man. I just wanted to let you know, like, you really did an amazing job today. And don't hang your head, brother, because like you delivered some stuff that I know people are going to be proud of. Wow. And if you need anything, give me a call." And I'm driving the car. I pull over. I'm like, "Okay, Forrest, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it." Pick up the phone, geek, like, "Oh, I did my thing." But that's the kind of guy he is, and that's the kind of guys I was working with on that movie. So it was an honor.
Wow, that's a story worth having. My last question in that sequence is, so you said something that kind of triggered for, I think, actors that have less credits and actors that have less credentials go through that I think you may be able to help a bunch of artists with, because you talked about having insecurities about your skill, and you know what I mean, and you worked on blockbuster films, and and you've worked with Queen Latifah and a bunch of, you've done a bunch of stuff. So to hear like you had Insecurities, going in, in a period of your acting career, uh, what what was that like? And I think that if you know what I mean, if you can,
What was it like having the insecurity, you mean?
yeah. When I think most people ignorantly may not think that you would have that, considering you've been validated by the industry to some degree.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say it's the equivalent to it is, I don't know if there is, like, it's like being at the free throw line and shooting your shots, and you know how many free throws do you make in the gym, but when it matters the most, when the clock is ticking, can you hit them? You know what I mean? And so regardless, that nervous energy, that insecurity, it's always going to be there.
Totally.
And sometimes you have to do what's best to swallow it and understand that you've been working. I think a lot of times we lose sight of how much we've worked or how much we've tried to work to get to where we need to be. We've watched the films, we've studied the performances. Like, some people have taken the classes and put in the hours to know how to hit a beat that would mean something to somebody. You know?
Right.
And I think that if we can just remember that, and it'll help us abandon that sense of insecurity. The other thing, though, the common misconception is nervous energy is sometimes okay.
Mm.
And I want to say that, and I want to clarify that. It's because, like, I truly believe, like, there's a sense of patience and calmness that comes from being humble and understanding how gracious you are to have the opportunity.
Right.
And that's the nervous energy that's okay.
Mm.
Like, being humbled to work alongside of a Queen Latifah doesn't mean that I like and like that I can be like a little scared because I don't know what I'm going to be doing if I'm going into a one-on-one scene with just her and I on the couch.
Right.
But then you have to reconfirm to yourself and re-believe that you have done the right things to be able to get it done and do what you need to do to make the job worthwhile.
Wow. I love it. I love it, and I think that telling that story is definitely going to connect to a lot of actors and a lot of artists, because I think sometimes, especially I would say from my point of view, whereas I've had success in one aspect, working on success in another aspect, it's like, we're insecure all the time because we're like, nobody's validating us. You know what I mean? Even though you don't necessarily, it may never come, you know what I mean, no matter how much you work, but it's just kind of like, man, like, you want that validation of like booking this, or being in this
Yeah,
movie or getting this franchise. And it's like to hear somebody that has done these things and then be like, yo, sometimes I'm insecure too, or sometimes, you know what I mean, I need to reassess and just kind of realign and really just strengthen my confidence again. I think is like it's a really cool message. And I think it's gonna help a lot of people. I think it helped me a little bit when I first heard that from
yeah, thanks, man. I mean, that's part of the reason why we do it. Um, I think, as actors, we need gratification. We live in an industry we work in an industry that's dependent on if we do it well or not.
you. Right.
so,
Totally.
so, like, if even after a take right now, like, I was just working with an Oscar-nominated director. He won the Oscar.
Wow.
Matthew Cherry won the Oscar for Best Animated Short. And he just directed a couple episodes of Saved by the Bell. And I remember, like, after every take, going up to him and be like, is that okay? You know what I mean? And sometimes we need that thumbs up. Sometimes
Right.
you walk away and be like, yeah, I bodied that. But sometimes you just need that thumbs up to be able to know you can keep it going.
That's a word right there. Straight word. All right. So the chapter of life that you're in right now, right? If it was in a book and it had a title, what would that title be?
Transitions.
Mm, I like it.
Transition. I'm transitioning in life. I'm transitioning into a deeper level of adulthood. I'm transitioning into a deeper level of manhood, understanding a lot about myself, much
Right.
more. Um, um, Learning from mistakes that I've made in the past and, like, correcting them and rectifying them and moving forward. transitioning out of the Maze Runner into a new phase of my life as well, when I'm like doing indie movies and trying to do movies that I feel like could help catapult me into that next level of my career.
Right.
You know, I'm also transitioning into being a series regular on my first TV show for the first time. So this is a transitional phase for me. And I think that would be the title of the book.
I love it. I would buy this chapter alone. So now the question is, as we look toward the future, if you could draw it up perfectly, what would some of the attributes of that future be?
Say that one more time.
Okay, so if as we go into the future, and you could draw it up perfectly, it could just happen how you saw it. What would some of those things be?
Man, honestly, I'm the one thing I'm looking forward to doing the most is, like, of course, I would love to win the Oscar. Of course, I would love to win an Emmy. I would love to win a Tony. I would love to win a Grammy. I want to complete the EGOT. Like, that's my perfect future when it comes to work.
Right.
And I don't think I should, and I don't think I can't. Right. So like that's what, like I'm gonna get that Tony. I'm gonna get that Grammy. I'm gonna get that Oscar. I'm gonna complete the highest level of achievements on all categories of entertainment if I get the opportunity to. But to me, the other high, like even higher achievement than that is just becoming a husband and a father. And like I want to meet my wife. I want to tell her I think she's beautiful, and I want to be able to say I do. And I want to be able to build that chapter of my life, because I believe, like, I'm getting to a place right now where financially I think I might be okay. And then career-wise, I might be okay if I could keep working and doing the things and like keep sharpening my tools and doing the things that I want to do. But so that's the only aspect of my life that I haven't quite figured out yet. You know, I know that in due time it'll come. But I think once I can get a better understanding of that, I'll start losing that void and start being able to focus a little bit more on the mainstream kind of stuff.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope. I love that, and I think it's kind of cool. This is one of my favorite parts of the pod is, like, first hearing everybody's story, the chapter, you know, and what you're going through right now is really cool. But the future thing, because I think a lot of these times, like when we do this stuff, it's like documented, you know what I mean? And it's like in space, like forever. So like, you know, a year from now, we can come back and, you know, as you're, you know, you hit me up like, yo, I found this girl, that we can come back to this and be like, you said it, you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's like super cool to just kind of project some of those things and kind of see how they play out. This has been fantastic. I think that this is going to be a really good one, and I appreciate your vulnerability in telling these stories. And you know, you're welcome back anytime if there's ever anything you want to talk about.
And if you ever want to talk to me about anything else, let me know. You want to talk about the weather forecast? I'm here for it. Maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't give you that caveat.
It is already recorded. Unfortunately, Dexter has me locked in. Where can we find you on social?
At Dexter Darden, DexterDarden on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. It's all pretty much the same all across the lines. And I have a TikTok, not on it much, but I got one.
I was just going to say, so what's your TikTok handle, Dexter?
My Dexter Darden.
All right.
I just got them all. I just said, yo, I need to get all these Dexter Darden domains before somebody come in here and try to take them over.
Give me the Dexter Darden. Somebody has BT on Instagram. I just don't love it. I don't love it. I don't.
It's hard to get two-letter things.
When they let that happen, I think there was a run on it. So it is what it is. BT is me is here to stay.
I like BT is me.
Indeed. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you real soon.
All right, bro.